The year my sister Amy was invited to play Mrs. Claus in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade was the same year that Hugh had his hip replaced. It somehow makes sense that those two things are happening within a week of each other, I said. Except I'm not doing it, Amy told me. It was midnight, and we were in my apartment in New York, gathered in the living room. The view from the window looked like the backdrop of a talk show, a jumble of tall buildings with thousands of lit windows, some of them winking. How can you not play Mrs. Claus, I asked. Amy ticked off the reasons on her fingers. 1, they want me there at 3 a.m. 2, it's supposed to rain. And 3, they're not paying me anything. Macy's doesn't pay Mrs. Claus, I asked. Surprised in the same way I'd be if I'd learned that she, Mrs. Claus, had been married before. Maybe to another woman. Like, what? That can't be true. With us in the living room were 2 Frenchmen whom Hugh and I knew from Normandy. Olivier, who owns a donkey and had been teaching himself English with Duolingo, and David, who also has a donkey but spoke no English whatsoever. Still, he could understand by my tone that something outrageous was happening. Qu'est-ce qui se passe? He asked. The department store that calls itself the House of Macy will not give money to the bride of Father Christmas, I said in French. For us, this is unacceptable. Olivier and David had arrived a week earlier and were staying with us until the Saturday after Thanksgiving. It was their first trip to New York, and they were overwhelmed by how loud and crowded the city was. My sister Gretchen, who lives in North Carolina, was also staying with us. And though I was happy to see her and our French friends, I just returned from a long tour and had not had any time alone or alone with just Hugh since mid-September. We have a good deal of room in our New York apartment. It's not like anyone was sleeping on a sofa or hanging wet towels off the doorknobs. I just resented having to adjust my schedule. House guests meant less time at my desk, both in the morning and in the evening, when mainly because of Gretchen, we had to eat dinner earlier than usual. I can put up with a lot, but when my work schedule is interrupted, I get antsy. It didn't help that just 4 days after Gretchen was due to leave, Hugh would be checking into the hospital for hip surgery. And don't think I'm not going to need you, he said over Thanksgiving dinner. A whiz in the kitchen. Hugh makes all our meals. And when I suggested that he could probably still manage, I'm sure other people have. Can't you cook like from a wheelchair or something? He said, no, you're going to do it. 3 times a day and for as long as I need you to. He poured himself a glass of wine. I could be out of commission for months. Yes, but you don't know that for a fact, I reminded him. I'm sure there are people who recover from a hip replacement in a matter of days. You just don't hear about them. David asked what we were talking about, and I said in French, after the hospital, he wants to make a strike. However difficult Hugh's operation would be, I doubted that it could be worse than the 1.5 years leading up to it. There wasn't a particular day when he started complaining about his pain. He's always done that to some degree. Rather, it shifted from his back or his sciatica to his hip, then stayed there and intensified. Ow! He'd cry, wincing as he sat down at the lunch or dinner table, as he bent before the oven or even looked at a stepladder. Hugh never says anything so simple as, I have a headache or my finger hurts. Instead, he describes his pain in detail, the way he might to a doctor who just said, tell me everything. And I want you to be as specific as possible.
To keep listening to this audiobook for free, click the link in the description. It will take you to a free Audible trial where you can listen to this and many other books for free for 30 days.